Alright, so we are BURP Radio, and we got Tony, Jason, and Natalie as honorable mentions, and I'm Desiree, Diego, and Cindy. So, we just experienced a natural disaster, the Hurricane Ian, and there's other natural disasters that happen, tornadoes, earthquakes, and when those things happen, the infrastructure always goes down. Well, not always, but most of the times. Such as phone services, internet, and mail. And we're gonna combat that with BURP, the ham radio. And it's a low power transmission over 3,000 miles. And that way we can avoid all of the issues that come along with cell phones and internet going down. And people can tune into the set frequencies, and they will just say the phone number that they want to dial and the message they want to send. And the protocol is you will say BURP at the end, or actually BURP, to send over the message to your loved ones.
So what we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna show a little example. This is meant to run on a Raspberry Pi. However, we were running into some issues with the deep speech logic. It just wasn't being clear enough for us to do a demo. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cheat a little bit, and we're gonna run our script, a listener. And so as you're typing, people are speaking, like, the day is nice. Now, we don't care about this information. What we do care about is when somebody starts to enter their text number. So mine is 813-555-1234. Once they enter that, our logic will immediately detect that you now want a text message. I am safe. And once you say that, how do I know when you're supposed to end it? You say the word BURP. So now you just simply go BURP, B-U-R-P, and you sent the message. The message will go to the phone, and it'll come back and it'll say, I am safe. And that's basically the key. Using voice recognition, people can reach out at a preset frequency, and it's an open source project that will allow them to use. Now, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you. And you can use Jambonz for the SMS. We just use our mail system to send it, but since you're using AT&T mail, sometimes it takes a while for that text to get through.
So this is another explanation for how BURP would work. The user would call in using the ham radio. A BURP station also has ham radio, so they could pick up the message from the user. And it has a speaker output being listened by a Raspberry Pi, and then the BURP software would be used in order to decipher the mail address and the message being sent.
And it did arrive, it just didn't make a sound. Okay.
And here's another explanation. So speaker again, we'll go voice to text, and that was one of the AI models we're trying to use in order to what the message will look like. And then we'll stream the text to standard input, and then it will go to the listener, and then we'll inspect the standard input for the following, which is the 9 digits, the phone number, a text message, and then the BURP at the end of the message to send out the message. And then you can go through the mailer, and then it will send the mail to the phone, the provider, and then you have the message being sent.
And that's it. So that's basically what it is. It's, again, open source. It's just meant to be a way, when you don't have infrastructure, you have a way of getting text to your loved ones. Any questions?
Great concept. Yeah, we'll open this up for questions now.
There's always the people way in the back.
So, really fascinating. With the ham radio as the medium, if it's a preset frequency with about a 3,000 mile radius range, in the event of an emergency where many people might be trying to use it, how will the AI disambiguate if there's more than one transmission hitting the receiver?
Yep, that's a common question. So interesting thing about CBs and ham radios, anybody that's used to them, they basically, when you put your hand on it and you start the transmission, first thing it's gonna do is, that frequency, it will only be engaged if there's no power amplitude on that frequency already. So that's why when you hear on CB radios and someone's talking, you're not hearing 10 people talk at once. Sometime you might have noticed, sometimes people are on that radio and they hold on to it too long and everybody's like, oh, take off the thing, but they don't take it off. So you have built into ham radios and CB radios frequency locks that when it's engaged and the power's over a certain level, you can't transmit. So they have to wait until it's free.
So yeah, I mean, the idea is amazing because my cell phone wasn't working after the hurricane. So my question is, there's already channel 9, which is used for emergencies for most people who use radios who have boats know this. So channel 19 is used by truckers. So how would this make life easier? Knowing that if someone has a radio, they can always go on channel 9.
How will it make life easier? Well, I mean, the theory is, and I apologize, we're trying to turn our sound on because we've gotten like 2 texts we've tested through and no sound on my phone. The one demo gods are not nice. So basically the theory is this is like open, there it goes, there it is. Says I'm safe. But basically it's something where perhaps a community center or church or a hacker space or something along that, they can just leave the Raspberry running in their data center, or I might even leave it running in my house, just sitting in a corner somewhere. And it's running 24/7, because remember, in this little sensor here that you see, it still takes input. And as long as I can, the system will just keep sending out texts, no interference. So it reduces the human factor on trying to help people in remote locations.
Any other questions? Over here.
And it is cold in here.
So to use this, you have to have a ham radio.
In
Is that
tech,
right?
the design here was for the ham radio for the range. However, since the Raspberry Pi is purely listening to the speaker, it could be a ham radio, it can be a CB, it can be anything that's promoting. Because remember, a ham radio you have to have a receiver that can make audio output. The Raspberry Pi is listening to that audio output, using the AI to convert that audio to text, which will then in turn spin out to here. So anything that can produce audio, any communication form would technically work.
So you have to have a Raspberry Pi? Or I'm missing something.
You bet. I'm a Raspberry Pi freak. You need some mechanism that will support a TensorFlow Lite implementation. So technically it doesn't need to be Raspberry Pi. It can run on a Mac, it can run on a PC, but we were trying to be cool with the Pis, but yeah. Because as long as you have the ability to run TensorFlow Lite app to translate input, you're fine.
I just got hit by a hurricane. I have a phone. I'm not talking about the server, I'm talking about the client. I guess.
The client needs some mechanism to reach out. Ham radio is what we recommended, because ham radio is a low power emergency system.
Or the short wave.
And low power, yeah, long range shortwave, yeah,
So,
low frequency.
but you could do it with a CB, just whatever you tune the Raspberry Pi to?
Whatever you tune, they're correct.
That's what that.
Yes.
that's-
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Cool. Great demo, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, so I misspoke earlier. We're now at our actual last, certainly not least team, which is Heisey. All right, come on up, y'all.